following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA fucking network, and welcome to our review show here of Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2022, the 20-year anniversary of Impact Wrestling. Holy shit. I'm one of your hosts, Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. What the fuck is going on, man?
Oh, dude.
Bro.
Not a lot. Hell of a show. Hell of a show. Hell of a show. Let's chop it up. Let's get into it, my friend.
Yeah, bro. The pre-show featured Rich Swann defending the digital media title over Brian Myers. Like anyone cares about that championship.
Why'd you say it that way? I do care about it.
Yeah, you do not.
I care about it a lot. It's important to me.
No.
I have a little book, a leather-bound notebook that I write each.
Leather-bound, but that's bullshit.
Fuck, I've barely heard the term digital media title once.
As soon as you said leather-bound,
I'm sorry.
it was the bullshit was in the air. And Shark Boy won a reverse battle royal. I know there were a lot of fans complaining about them reusing the reverse battle royal. It's just a bit of fun, and they're poking fun at themselves. Okay.
Well, how about this?
Take everything so serious.
Complaining. How about that? If you're complaining about them doing a reverse battle royal, what about that?
Yeah, how did that fucking feel, motherfucker? Okay, the opening package, Jooseyboy. Loved it. Thought it was a very nice touch to start the show. What's your fandom of TNA or Impact Wrestling been like, over the years, bro?
For me, it's always been the mix between familiar faces that I've seen from the WWE, WCW, mixed with guys that I'd seen on the Independents or in Wrestling Society X or wherever I might have seen them beforehand in my wrestling fandom. And I loved seeing that hodgepodge come together. You'd have a guy like Jay Lethal working with a guy like Jeff Hardy, or you'd have Team 3D working with America's Most Wanted. Obviously, I knew who Team 3D were. It's the Dudleys. I had a different name, but it was the Dudleys. So it really was kind of like that alternative to WWE for a long time that I think the hardcore wrestling fan, I think it really filled a void. It filled a void for a long time.
Agreed.
Wrestling.
Definitely, bro. I was over WWE for many years, and I was always just 100% behind TNA at the time, hoping that they could create some sort of competition to raise WWE's, I don't know, just make them fucking raise their own bar, because they really lowered it many years after WCW was over. Let's get into the show, though, bro. X Division Championship. It's the Ultimate X match. It's the 47th Ultimate X match in Impact Wrestling history. Trey Miguel, Andrew Everett, who replaced Jack Evans, Kenny King, Alex Zayne, Mike Bailey, and Ace Austin, the champion. Jooseyboy, what did you think of Ultimate X?
There were a couple of little things here and there that I felt were a little contrived. A few examples of, let's all wait in a group for each other and let's help each other set this big thing up just because, so that we can do it. Like the big Tower of Power thing in the corners was one example of that. There are a couple of dives and a couple of other little things. But having said that, though, there was also a lot about this that I really enjoyed. I think a lot of the different athletes in the match tried to be creative with the way that they used the structure, the Ultimate X structure. I think in a lot of ways it paid respect to what made Ultimate X special, but they didn't reuse any of the famous spots from Ultimate X. They still came up with their own stuff. I think Speedball Mike Bailey, this match here may have been like a bit of a turning point in upward momentum for him, graduating from being kind of an entertaining mid-card, lightweight type talent. I think winning this match here the way that he did, I think his performance as far as actually utilizing the Ultimate X apparatus was probably the best out of everyone in the match. Him and Andrew Everett, I thought, were the standouts. I couldn't really be more complimentary about the way that this match was put together. There's a couple little gratuitous things that if I was being nitpicky, I'd be like, all right, we can take out that Tower of Power or take out that spot there that seems a little contrived, as I said. But on the whole, I thought it was a really good match and, more importantly, really good way to start off a show like this. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a B-, the classic Jooseyboy rating, but well deserved. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Cool, bro. Yeah, I liked Bailey and Alex Zayne, who I'm seeing perform for the first time. They lit it up early, so was impressed with that. I liked that spinning dive from Everett, despite the fact everyone was just standing there waiting to catch him. I also wrote, it would have been cool if the Amazing Red was in this, but that's okay.
Oh, imagine
maybe
bro.
he's just at a point in his life where he doesn't want to, take those big bumps anymore. The Destroyer off the top by Trey Miguel on Alex Zayne was fucking mental. And Zayne should have been out for the rest of the match. That
I hated it. I both loved and hated it.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it was like he better not get up after this. He should be stretched out after that. I hate stuff like that. If it's a destroyer off the fucking top rope. Come on, man. Everett did take this massive bump whilst hanging on the structure, which was just absolutely fucked. The only thing that really annoyed me a lot was when Ace Austin and Mike Bailey were so close to the belt, and they had to keep figuring out way of stalling themselves from grabbing it, despite the fact it was like right there for like a good 45 seconds. Because they're waiting for the next spots to take place. But I thought it was great that Mike Bailey became the new X Division champion. I think his work he's put in the last few months, it's deserved on this platform, the 20th anniversary that he gets the victory, and those 5 years that he was out of the USA, he's worked hard to get back to where he was and happy to see it. But yeah, not bad. The match served its purpose and good way to start the show. After this, my good friend Scott Hudson showed up to interview the Impact Originals. Good stuff. I think Nick Aldis stood out the most from everyone with their promos. And Scott Hudson still got it, brother. He still fucking got it, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed this as well.
Yeah.
That little interview segment. I also thought that Aldis stood out in that particular little interview segment. I like the fact that there was some old school little backstage interviews interspersed throughout this event.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
It's missing from WWE and AEW a lot, especially WWE.
Yep.
Their backstage
Sting,
interviews are garbage. I'm sorry. Yeah,
they are, bro. Sting with a nice message for Impact Wrestling. Good to see. Next matchup though, Knockouts Tag Team Championship. The Influence taking on Taya, Valkyrie and Rosemary from Decay. I don't have many notes here. But I feel like the Influence have really established themselves over the last year. I do, again, I feel like Impact, they need more women's tag teams because, Inspiration's gone. I don't know what was going on with Rosemary and why she's not with Havoc. Maybe there's some sort of story there that I didn't pick up on because I don't watch the weekly show. It was a slow start, but it built up very well, and I thought the finish was great because I was super surprised at the title change. And because I went into this thinking it was going to be a goddamn foregone conclusion. Happily surprised that it was not, and the I guess odd team here that had never really teamed together before, they walk out with the tag title. So I thought that was a nice surprise. Bro, what did you think of the influence against Taya and Rosemary?
To be honest, I think that Impact's women's tag division is superior to their men's tag division in a lot of ways. Not in terms of it's just overall better, but I think that the women's teams that they have, the established ones that they have there, are well established. The female personalities and characters that they have on the show are very well established, even if there needs to be more of them brought in. Like, I would agree that there needs to be at least 2 or 3 more women's tag teams, but the ones that are already there and established can easily be the center of any good tag division. I like the idea, as you said, of the odd couple tag team kind of coming out with the victory. It immediately kind of sets the women's tag titles in an interesting direction, as well as being an interesting direction, respectively, for the 2 members of this new oddball tag team that's been thrown together here. So, yeah, I'd probably would have given it a C plus. And yeah, I don't think there was anything to complain about at all.
Cool. The next familiar face showing up is Kurt Angle, saying some nice words. Well, I love Impact. I love Impact.
I love TNA, and I think it was just trying to be a place for me to spend part of my career. And
great to see Kurt. Moving forward, bro. Monsters Ball. Another TNA original stipulation match. Moose taking on Sami, Callihan, Jooseyboy. How did you feel about this one?
This was the one I was most excited to discuss with you. First of all, I just want to say some people will probably sit there and think that the whole idea of having Callihan and Moose locked in a room with no food and no water for 24 hours before the match is stupid. But you know what? Although I don't believe that they probably did actually sit in a room for 24 hours straight before the match, I still can see the logic in the sensory deprivation of having them in these pitch black rooms and not giving them any food, and they can't do any of their usual warm-up routines. I thought it was really funny when the security guard just shows up at the door after 24 hours. Like, he's just like, Moose, matches up. like casual, like it's no big deal for him at all. He woke up in a nice warm bed this morning while Moose has been like pacing back and forth in this pitch black boiler room. Mice and bugs crawling around. He's going like, what the fuck is that? So the security guard opens the door. Moose steps out. Moose steps out. Like, people that didn't actually see the show will probably wonder what the fuck I'm talking about. I swear to you, before the Monsters Ball match began, part of the stipulation for this match was that they both be locked away in a room for 24 hours before the match. And security guards just came and knocked on their doors and unlocked the doors and let them out so they could go and have this match. So Moose comes out, he's looking all dazed and confused. Callihan comes out looking like he's just been freebasing crack cocaine in there. I mean, these two, I actually thought these two had tremendous chemistry against each other in the ring. I think that Moose is absolutely one of the best performers in the wrestling business. I don't understand why he's not more regularly in the conversation as someone that should go to WWE or that they should be looking at, because I think that he's one of the key reasons why Impact is such a solid wrestling product. And, I just think he was here again. He knocked it out of the park. I'm not going to go through every individual spot in the match. What I liked about this was there was a sense of fun with this match. Like, I was laughing a little bit about the whole 24 hours beforehand being locked in the rooms. When the match itself began, it started to slowly get like less and less funny. Where at the beginning, you're sort of like, as an audience member, you're going like, oh yeah, they're having fun with it. Like Callihan's kind of zany. He's sort of got this weird kind of wild card, kind of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just crazy sewer rat kind of thing going on. And everyone's laughing at the idea of Moose, this pampered pro athlete, having to go through all this shit, and that's kind of an amusing dichotomy. But it keeps going on, and slowly it's getting more and more violent. This match ended up being like a very violent match. It ended up actually looking like these two guys were, if not being slightly over cooperative at one or two occasions, it definitely looked like they were actually hurting each other. I think for the most part, this really came off like a good fight. I thought that both guys' use of the thumbtacks was tremendous in this. It was a fresh way to use thumbtacks in that they didn't really do anything huge with the thumbtacks. They just let it speak for itself. Like, they would just do things, and the thumbtacks happened to be laid out on the mat, and they would land where the thumbtacks are. And then they would react to the thumbtacks and sell them appropriately. So it wasn't all just based around doing crazy shit just to get the audience to pop. It actually felt like it was, that's the word, spontaneous. And I think that's how Monsters Ball match should feel. I thought that this paid great homage to previous Monsters Ball matches. And I think in general, like, this to me is a match that Moose can now put on his show reel and say, like, this is another thing that I'm capable of doing really well. Like, I thought both guys performed excellently in this, but it's just more confirmation for me, especially, that Moose is an absolute star. I'd give this match an A-. I thought it was fucking awesome.
Wonderful. So I've never been the biggest Sami Callihan fan, but I think maybe I just haven't seen enough of him. Was happy to see some shots to the head with some steel trays. I love the part where Moose took the bottle of water from that bitch in the crowd.
Yeah.
That was great. Sami gets busted open. One thing about Sami Callihan, he got given a urinagi through the table.
Yeah.
And Sami Callihan goes up like a fucking heavy bag of shit, bro.
What bag of hammers? Yeah.
That dude can't jump. It was painful seeing him get
like,
up.
The ones on the apron too. It did look like he'd just given up on his will to live and just,
just fuck, man. Like,
just didn't want to deal with the pain anymore. Like, midway through the match.
That spot with Moose going off the top rope to the outside, face first through the table, that was fucked, man. Like, this guy commits himself.
He goes for it, man. He
does. And speaking of going for it, that sky high choke bomb thing that he hit on him onto the tacks, where he sat down with it as well, that was fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, that was. I was like,
the Death Valley driver through the barbed wire door. It was a pile driver.
Done, yeah.
Kick out. Right at the end, dude. That power bomb that Callihan hit on Moose onto like the garbage bin
Oh
It
yeah,
was like
which was
upward.
the garbage bin was placed upside down
Yeah.
on its top. So its top was on the mat,
Fuck
and then the
yeah.
bottom of the garbage can was facing up, and Moose was power bombed onto the surface of the bottom of the trash can.
And it barely moved. It
And
barely
it
fucking moved,
and
bro.
yeah, and it barely moved.
It
He
was
just bent
fucking.
over. Like, I'm laughing because I'm recalling, like, I enjoyed this so much. I ended up really getting into this. Like,
Eventually Callihan gets the win with a couple more Cactus Driver 97, whatever the fuck it's called.
the
So
double underhook
Callihan,
pile driver. That's what it was.
Callihan needed the win. So
Yeah.
good shit. Let's move forward, bro. The Impact World Tag Team titles. The Briscoes, who won the belts at I can't remember the name of the pay-per-view.
Is it a multiverse of
No.
matches?
Why can't I remember the name of the last pay-per-view?
Hard to kill.
To Kill was like the first pay-per-view this year. Let's have a look. I'll find it. I'm adamant now that I find Under Siege. I'm sorry. They won the tag titles from Violent by Design at that pay-per-view. I thought that maybe the Good Brothers might have been on their way out and that they were just going to be putting the Briscoes over here, but maybe they're not. As usual, the Briscoes matches start off wild as fuck, bro. It always breaks down into this craziness. Jay Briscoe getting thrown into the chair was a tight bump, but before that, I was thinking the referee is allowing the chair to be in the ring. It was sat there in the ring for a good portion of time, and the referee kept on trying to look away and distract himself. That was a little weird.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But the crowd always hot for Briscoes in their matches because it looks real and you never know what to expect. You don't know what's going to happen next. It's always like that with them. It's this fucking manic thing that takes place. There was a gun stun from fucking Carl Anderson and the camera fucking missed it. That was probably the only growl I have to say about bad production on this show, though. Could not believe it. I didn't see a title change coming here because the Briscoes only just won these belts. So I'm hoping that the feud continues and was very pleasantly surprised and happy to see America's Most Wanted come out. Of course, with my good friend, Mr. Chris Harris. You can see my interview with him on the Insider's Edge on our YouTube. And I thought James Storm's promo was spot on. Nice little beer bash. Jooseyboy, what did you think of the World Tag Team title match?
Well, it's always a pleasure seeing the Briscoes perform. I like you. I also popped for AMW coming out at the end. I thought that was the little touches that they put, whether it be the little messages from past TNA stars or whether it be things like this with the AMW coming out. I thought that was overall excellently done throughout this whole Slammiversary pay-per-view. But as far as the match itself, I felt like the Good Brothers didn't really look that impressive at all to me. I feel like for the past year or so, every time I've seen them, they just seem flat to me. They just seem like they're running at half capacity. I don't know what it is, whether it's just my personal dislike for whatever they're doing, but yeah, I just think that the Briscoes are really talented and they're really good, but I think even they couldn't hide the fact that I just think that Gallows and Anderson were too slow and sluggish, and I didn't think this was a very good match. Like, I won't lie, I think that it towards the end it heated up, and that was good and all like that. But for most of this, I just found myself sitting on my hands. It was a bit disappointing, and that's hard to say because it's a Briscoes match. But yeah, I'd have to give it like a D plus, man. Like, I wasn't really a huge fan of it at all. I think the Briscoes played their part well, but the title change definitely doesn't work for me either. I think it was a stupid idea. I think you put the titles on the Briscoes, you leave it on them. I've got a bad feeling that the reason they took them off the Briscoes is because they want the Briscoes for Ring of Honor under Tony Khan, which I just,
Should hope not.
pass. But yeah, this disappointed me, and mostly because I think Gallows and Anderson just phoned it in a little bit. And I think they have been phoning it in for a while as far as their actual in-ring work.
Okay, bro. Fair enough. I disagree. I thought the match was all right. But you've been wrong before, so. Next up, bro. Nice little package on Mike Tenay and Don West.
Yeah.
What a fucking team they were. Bro.
This was, you know what? This little package here for Mike Tenay and Don West was one of my favorite things of the entire show. I thought it was class personified. I thought it was, some will say that it's a little cheesy and everything like that. Some will say, oh, imagine if WWE did a thing like this for Jerry Lawler and JR, everyone would call it pretentious or whatever. Nah, this is just, I think this felt like it was something that was made as much for the people at TNA/Impact as it was for the people watching the show. And this actually just, the tone of it, the whole execution of it, I really liked it. I think the little message and the thank you from the commentary desk right afterwards was also very heartfelt, and good luck to Don West. I hope that he, hope everything gets better with everything he's going through. But fuck, man, yeah, like an emotional little segment, and I think that it came off well, like it did. It was high class.
Yeah, bro, it was good, and I could see that Tom on commentary was a little emotional at the end of it. But yes, nice stuff. Moving forward, bro, it's the 10-man tag. Honor No More taking on the TNA and Impact Originals. Was very happy to see Christy Hemme there. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Loved seeing Scott D'Amore come out in the old Team Canada. I
popped for that. Yeah,
they're popping.
They had fun with it.
That's it, bro. I love a surprise, and I've had such a good portion of time throughout this show. Who's this mystery fifth man going to be? Who's it going to be? It's going to be a TNA and an Impact original. I couldn't wait. Kazarian comes out. I thought to myself, hopefully he's not made to look like an idiot here like it was at the AEW pay-per-view. And he wasn't, so that's good. Nice to see Tracy Brooks and Earl Hebner there at ringside. Didn't think that they were going to get involved, but that was... I'll get to it when I get to it. Dixie, she came out. Still looking good. Love me a bit of Dixie Carter. But I have to say, bro, and I don't know how you feel about this guy, but when she said that the fifth guy was Davey Richards, I wrote, that is a huge letdown. Is he even an original? Would you consider him an original?
No.
To me, it doesn't scream TNA or Impact Wrestling. I know he used to be in Impact, but to me, I just thought, what the fuck is this for this decision here? I was expecting maybe a Shamrock, maybe a Samoa Joe, someone that embodied more like, or was there back in the day in TNA.
You'd have expected a Samoa Joe or a Christopher Daniels or someone like that that's basically available, because they used a couple of other AEW people on this show. Davey Richards as an individual performer, like, I don't mind him at all. I think his stuff looks good in the ring. He definitely is not someone I would ever want to get into a fight with in real life. But as far as being like the surprise fifth man, I wasn't as invested in finding out who it was, but I also could tell by the way that it was revealed that it didn't hit the way that I think they'd wanted it to. I think if you're trying to pick a TNA original from 2010, 11, or 12, then yeah, maybe Davey Richards like classifies in that regard. But I was also hoping that it was going to be somebody like, dude, I literally would have taken Shark Boy, like,
Yeah.
over, or ODB, or fucking Abyss, or fucking anyone. That there's just so many people that you could have picked. Like you said, Shamrock, man. I don't understand why we didn't see something from him on this show. I don't know which one of us is going first. Actually, reviewing the match because I've got a bunch to say.
Keep going.
All right. This match is probably the only match on this entire card that really let me down. Like, really let me down. And I'll tell you why. It was filled from head to toe with performers that I really enjoy. Both sides had world-class wrestlers on it. You know, Edwards, the Motor City Machine Guns, PCO, like Kazarian, Davey Richards himself. Like, there was just so many people in this that can really go in the ring. Like Mike Bennett, you know, Matt Taven, all these people are in there. But there's too many of them. It's too many cooks in the kitchen. It's devolved into a clusterfuck very quickly because I just think there was too much contrived, you know, you make sure that you're standing here so that I can springboard in over here and make sure that I hit you with this type stuff. I thought that there was just too many people for them to kind of keep everything together as a coherent flowing story. And I feel like it ended up taking a lot of great people and shoving them all into this match and not giving the match enough time. And, you know, in an effort to include all these great performers on the card, they inevitably underused a number of those performers. Like, I felt like PCO managed to get his little moments in, but I've been more impressed, you know, with him on previous showings. I think that Matt Taven and Mike Bennett were basically made to look like non-entities in the match. I thought that it was a cool little thing getting Tracy Brooks and Earl Hebner and you know, involved with Maria and all that. I thought that element of it was well executed, but the actual match itself, it just felt disjointed. It felt like a loose conglomeration of crazy spots trying to pop the crowd and everything like that. It didn't really work for me. I'd have to give it a D minus. You know, I hate saying that because I remain a huge fan of pretty much everyone that was in the match, but this just didn't come together for me the way that I'd hoped.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. Yeah, I just assumed this is nothing against Davey Richards. I don't know him. I've never really seen him perform. It's nothing against him, but I just thought it was a fucking letdown, and so I felt super uninterested in the match. Like if I were Impact, you know, they lent Mickey James for the WWE's Women's Rumble this year. You know, I don't know if he can still go and keep up with everyone else, but I would have thought, you know, Jeff Jarrett might have been a good candidate for that fifth spot. Anyway, I'll get over it.
Yeah, but he's executive VP of live events in WWE now.
That is right, bro. Motor City Machine Guns, I have to say, they are still really good together. They killed it out there in this match for me. I thought the match got better as it went along, but then I started thinking to myself, this is going a tad long. Although I think biggest pop of the match for me was when Tracy laid Maria the fuck out with that left-armed clothesline. That was
that was
sweet clothesline.
Thought that was really like rock solid, like a a nice clothesline. Like
Kenny King interferes, and then here comes D'Lo Brown. Come on, man, that's fucking sick. Hits a sky high. D'Lo hits a frog splash eventually, I think the jeans were a bad idea, bro. And of course, Earl gets the big fucking pop, which is very nice to come in and count the 3 count for the Impact Originals. It was a little messy and a little long, but it's all right. I wasn't offended. Very nice to see AJ Styles cut a little video showing his, appreciation for Impact Wrestling and what TNA meant to him. So I was happy to see that WWE at least allowed that, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I also thought that was really classy. I thought, they picked the right people to do these little things, and they paced them throughout the event really well. Yeah.
Cool, bro. Right, 2 matches to go. I'll take this one here. It's the Queen of the Mountain match for the Knockouts World Championship. Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, Hubba Hubba, Jordynne Grace, Mia Yim, and Tasha Steelz, the champion, with Savannah there with her at ringside. At this point in the show, Jooseyboy, I think I was a little bit over multi-person matches, man. Because before this, I needed a palate cleanser. Before this, we had the 10-man tag. Before that, we had a tag title match. Yes, we had the Monsters Ball before that, but then we had a tag title match before that. And we had an X Division Championship match with many people in it to open the show. So I think, look, I don't want a pay-per-view going longer than 3 hours, but I think I needed something before this. Because I was burned on the multi-person shit. Because a lot of the time it can seem like, okay, these 2 are in the ring. Everyone else has been knocked to the outside, and then they're just out there waiting for their spot or waiting for the current spot to be over. Then someone will come in, and then they'll have a little thing. It's kind of like the same fucking formula every fucking time. Right. The Queen of the Mountain, King of the Mountain match. The rules can be a little confusing. I don't think I'd really ever seen a King of the Mountain match because by that point I was no longer watching TNA. But if I hear the word eligible again, I will punch a child in the gut, bro. The amount of times the commentators said the fucking word eligible during this match was doing my fucking head in. Chelsea, my big pop for the match was Chelsea nailing Mickey with the door of the cage by kicking it, fucking laying her out. And it just popped me that she was down on the floor in pain or knocked silly or knocked out. Nobody tends to her. The referee was just standing there watching the ring. Like she's out cold on the floor. No one has any concern for her whatsoever. I love that. It's only in wrestling does that happen. Yim off the ladder, diving to the outside. I liked that spot. That was cool. I thought Mickey I know what Chelsea did to Mickey was, pretty fucking horrible. But I thought her getting involved was bullshit the way that it happened. Fucking pulling Chelsea down off the ladder and all that shit. And then trying to help Mia win, I believe. So I thought that was like not good for a babyface character anyway. So Mia getting powerbombed onto the ladder, that was fucked. And Deonna and Chelsea on the fucking ladder taking that fucking bump through the tables, man.
That was an insane bump.
Good on him, man. Good on him. And then my second last note was eligible. I heard this fucking word like 40 times in this match. Had to be maybe even more than that, bro. Anyway, surprisingly, Jordynne Grace became the new Knockouts champion. I didn't expect her to win. I thought it might have either been Chelsea or Tasha retaining or maybe Deonna winning it again. But okay, Jordynne Grace is the new Knockouts champion. Jooseyboy, your turn. What did you think of the Queen of the Mountain matchup?
Well, I like Jordynne Grace, but I personally would have gone with Deonna Purrazzo as the winner of this match because I still think that she is one of the future cornerstones of women's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Over the next 10 years, hopefully. To me, that table spot that you mentioned with them getting pushed, the ladder being pushed, and them flying off it through the tables at ringside. To me, that stole the whole match for me. I thought that you can put that up against any other crazy bump, that you can remember in wrestling, and that one's up there. Really crazy bump would be an intimidating bump for anyone to take. So yeah, I was really impressed by that and like blown away by it. Um, I kind of was also feeling like multi-person matches were a little long in the tooth. However, what I do appreciate about Impact is that they give their women's division like appropriate amount of time, and they actually apply high stakes and a big match feel to the
Mhm.
women's division. And this was the women's big match of the show, and I feel like everyone that was involved rose to the occasion and did their best, and went out of their way to try and steal the show. And I think in some ways they probably succeeded. um and overall, I'd give this probably a C minus. I think it was like uh performed with passion and enthusiasm by everyone involved. But its placement in the show, perhaps it maybe went on for a little bit too long time wise. Might have just been because it was so late in the show. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it overall.
Lovely. Gia Miller is backstage. She brings in my home girl Goldilocks to interview Gail Kim. You can check out my exclusive interview with Goldilocks on our YouTube channel. Gail Kim talks a little bit about whatever the women's division and her career, and how proud she is. Essentially, what everyone else said, but nice cameo to have Gail on the show, and she's still fucking gorgeous. Right, bro? It's time for the main event of the evening. The walking fucking weapon, Josh Alexander, bro. Defending the championship against Eric Young of Violent by Design. This is also Brian Hebner's last match as a referee, apparently. So a lot going on here for the final match of the show. Jooseyboy again. Please tell me what you thought of the main event.
This match might have ended up being my favorite on the entire show. Josh Alexander is fast becoming one of my favorites in the industry right now. I mean, Eric Young was the perfect opponent for the 20th anniversary of Impact TNA main event. Josh Alexander, I think, could carry Impact slash TNA going forward, or at least be one of the top two guys in the company going forward. I think Eric Young actually works as a perfect foil for somebody like Josh Alexander. I think you could switch Alexander heel and have EY be a baby face and it would work. I think you can have it work, as we saw with Alexander as the face and Eric Young as the heel. I think it would work both ways. I think they could literally run with a feud between these two for a long time. That's how much I enjoyed this match. I felt like the callbacks with the finishing moves of famous past names from TNA was a nice touch at the beginning. They kind of did a few of those, paid homage to people that had made TNA slash Impact Wrestling what it was. Um, they kind of did the whole anything you can do, I can do better kind of tit for tat thing, where Eric Young as a heel was kind of, in a way, trying to show that he could do everything that Josh Alexander was doing better than Josh Alexander. They kind of went with that for the first portion of the match. Match gradually got more physical as it went along. I will never cease to be impressed with the smoothness of Josh Alexander's transitions between moves and the way that he is able to use positioning in the ring the appropriate way, his footwork in the ring. Everything is always very precision, and that is why I think that he is someone that they need to build around, they being Impact Wrestling. And here in this match with a professional on the level of an Eric Young, everything that Josh Alexander is good at, everything that he's been showing that he can do over this past run of his career and Impact that we've been tuning in for, that was on full display here. But he had a guy in Eric Young that knew exactly how to sell for him, exactly was going to be exactly in the right spot in the ring, where he needed to be, when he needed to be there. Like, to me, this was about as close to a classic old school wrestling match as you're going to get in 2022, which is still going to be as exciting as this match. I loved the Monsters Ball match. I gave that an A-. I'm going to give this an A- as well. I think that this was a tremendous main event. I think that it exceeded my expectations. There's a sense of danger, a sense of realism, a sense of drama in Josh Alexander's matches and performances that there is very few performers in the pro wrestling industry today possess that ability that he has to just generate that drama. And I think this was another great example and another great match for him to add to his body of work. And same goes for Eric Young also. All right, I'm done waffling on now, but yeah, great fucking match.
Lovely, bro. I don't have many notes because I was well, I mean, when I was watching it, I was enjoying it very much, where I didn't feel the need to write that many notes. But also at the same time, there was a weird guy walking through my unit complex, so I had to keep pausing this fucking thing. Anyway, it was a great stalemate to start the match, and I honestly think right now Josh Alexander is the best world champion in wrestling right now, as far as bell to bell is concerned. As far as showing his emotions and his intensity, I believe Josh Alexander when he performs, and that's all I essentially am looking for when I watch wrestling, is to be made to believe. I did like the hitting of all the patented maneuvers of Impact legends. The favorite one, though, being the angle fucking slam off the ring apron on Joe Dory.
Yeah, that was sweet.
By Josh Alexander through the table. I also popped for Eric Young popping up with a fucking guitar, smashing that shit over Josh's head. The great false finish there. I also really enjoyed the what led to the finish, you know, with the pile drivers on the exposed wood. Josh ends up retaining the championship, thankfully, because every other belt on this show, and the digital media title, who gives a fuck about that? But every other title that was on the pay-per-view, you don't. You're lying. We changed hands, so it was nice to see Josh retain here, and a very happy way, I think, for Impact Wrestling to celebrate 20 years. Who would have thought that they would last this long? I'm very proud of them. So for me, Jooseyboy, I'm going to give my rating out of 10 first. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed the nostalgia. The matches were good. This was a serviceable show and a great way to celebrate 20 years. Jooseyboy, what's your rating out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I continue to think that Impact is, you know, one of the best kept secrets in professional wrestling. Unfortunately, a few of the matches kind of dragged down the overall rating for me a little bit, but that's okay because not every show is to everyone's liking. That's what's good about wrestling. I honestly think that even though I'm only giving this show a 6.5 out of 10, which for me is really a relatively low rating because I tend to love everything. this is still leagues better than what All Elite Wrestling is doing. I don't care if people think I'm targeting them or whatever. You know what? I am targeting them because there's a whole army. Hang on, man. Don't let me get through this.
Just fucking get on with it, cunt. Yeah.
There's a legion of people that think that AEW is the default top wrestling organization in the world.
God.
Well, if you want to call it, you know, and talk about it in such a way, such a ridiculous way, I'll say this. AEW ain't got nothing on Impact.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Good call, bro. I agree. Thank you for joining me for this review, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no fucking worries, mate.
And thank all of you out there for joining us here for our review show of Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, the 20th anniversary of Impact Wrestling. I'm Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy, and we will see you down the fucking road.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.